Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
For many of us, buying a guitar or other musical instrument is as simple as going to a nearby store. But in many places around the world, good musical instruments can be hard to find, and if they are found, too costly to afford. Guitars for Glory's sole desire is to put guitars and other musical instruments in the hands of people who will benefit from the worldwide effort. Find out more about this great global guitar giveaway next on Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you believe that life is wonderful in principle, but for some reason just isn't so consistently in practice? Every life will have its ups and downs. But have you ever thought that if there were only more people around you encouraging, uplifting, and even inspiring you, then life would be more fulfilling? If only people like George and Mary Bailey were in your inner circle, then life could truly be wonderful all the time? If so, we've got good news for you, because you can find such people on this podcast and at zuzunetwork.com. This podcast is the vision of Karolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and Dr. Chris Brunell, illustrating how the timeless message of It's a Wonderful Life can be and is applied to our modern lives and situations. Indeed, when you take that message to heart, your life will become immeasurably more wonderful. Visit us at zuzunetwork.com and listen to this podcast series to learn more about how. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Today we are joined by Alissa Catanzaro, Director of Operations, and Jeffrey Roeters, co-founder and director of Guitars for Glory, here to tell us about musical moments that revealed the need for musical equipment around the world, and how that resulted in Guitars for Glory being founded to give away guitars worldwide, as well as provide free musical training. Alissa and Jeffrey, welcome to the show. In the pre-interview, you've said that you've seen the gift of an instrument save lives and transform the hearts of not only the individuals who receive them, but also the communities that they live in. We're looking so forward to hearing more about that and the whole story of Guitars for Glory. Thank you for joining us. Karolyn and Chris, over to you.
Today we are welcoming Alissa Catanzaro, the Director of Operations, and a board member, Jeffrey Roeters, the co-founder and executive director of Guitars for Glory. Their journey and the inspiration behind this global initiative are truly remarkable. Let's begin with getting to know more about you and where you are from.
Sure. Yeah. So we are based out of Rochester, New York. Yeah, we started back in 2013, and every instrument that gets shipped to someone around the world comes right out of, I guess, a little warehouse right down Main Street in Rochester here. So yeah, we're based out of Rochester, and I've been here my whole life.
Have you ever made it down the hill to the Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Festival?
I've not been to the festival. I know my mother has, and my mom is also on the board of Guitars for Glory, and so she keeps us fresh and young. I think she's actually taken my grandmother there.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started doing this.
What we do is we send instruments, primarily guitars, to people around the world. That could be here in Rochester, around the States, in 40 other countries around the world. We partner with people that are going on trips and send instruments to churches and schools and individuals, people that want to worship and lead themselves in worship and lead others in worship. We've sent like over 1,000 guitars in the last 11 years. People will send in an application on our website, and whether it's like for themselves or on behalf of somebody else, we hear their stories and send them an instrument.
I think there was a couple different pivotal moments in each of our lives. So everybody who's on the board or has been on the board or is a director or serves in some way, volunteer, are all musicians. And we've seen music, worship specifically, but even someone who may not have the same beliefs as us can benefit from access to an instrument to be able to create. There's so many initiatives out there that focus on shelter, food, water, things like that. And those things are awesome. Those are essentials, things that people need. But for us, our calling, we felt in a little bit different direction to actually give something that is not necessarily consumable, but something that can be used to grow and create and bless others around them and communities. So we've seen communities transformed just by one person with the gift they didn't know that they had, serving others. And I think the moment that it became more than an idea, I guess, we were in Peru doing some missions work in Piura, Peru. There's one part of the village that we were working in where there's a lady named Sister Rosa who had been taking her guitar into the homes around her. It was basically the AIDS and HIV positive area of this village where people who are test positive for those things get pushed into this 10 block area where people don't want to go near them. They're treated like lepers, and it's just a sad situation. But there was one lady named Rosa, even though her husband had AIDS and she did as well, she felt her calling was to go into the homes in her neighborhood and just sing songs over people who, may have just been recently diagnosed, or those who are on their deathbed, taking their last breath. You go on these mission trips with a bunch of youth kids and stuff. There's at least 2 or 3 guitars on a trip. So we went in and met with Rosa, and she was sharing what she felt like her calling was. And I think one of us said, we want to go with you. Let's go play guitar for people in their homes. And she had said, well, actually the night before that week, someone had climbed in through her kitchen window and stolen her guitar. I think she said taken 3 or 4 years of her saving up enough of her salary to replace it. And she wasn't sure if she'd still be around. That moment is when we were like, oh, we'll take one of ours. And it was almost easier to give her ours and leave it there than to fly back with it, right? We didn't think much of it after that. Got back to Rochester, and I think it was within 4 or 5 months, we had received an email from her saying, you have no idea what this did to reignite my passion for music and worship and this calling she felt like God had placed in her life to go into homes and do this. That, I think, right then was the moment we thought, wow, if there's one person like Sister Rosa who can benefit from a $300 instrument to continue doing her ministry, there's got to be tens of thousands of more people like her. So that's when Guitars for Glory was started.
So how many on your team now?
We have 6 on our board. Just mentioned previously, we had our golf tournament, which a lot of us love golf too, right? And so it was a good way to tie together for fundraiser. And I think on our volunteer team, we have 10 to 15 just faithful volunteers that whenever we have an event or need help unpacking things or, go do a conference or speaking somewhere where people just rally around and come together and join us. None of us get paid. People on the board don't get paid. Directors don't get paid. It's completely volunteer run. But I think that's what keeps things pretty genuine and organic. If we can give 100% of our proceeds back towards giving more instruments, that's our goal.
I was just going to say, I noticed with the golf tournament that was sold out.
Yeah. First one, we had about 100 people. I've played in them. I haven't run them. We didn't know if it would resonate with people, and try to do a lot of fun things on different holes that you wouldn't really expect at a golf tournament. And then it did well. So this year we bumped it up to 130 golfers. We were fully registered within 5 weeks before the tournament even. Amount of involvement from local organizations and businesses and people that get behind Guitars for Glory still baffles me when we have things like this.
Do you do any other projects that help you raise funds?
I mean, we've done some bigger. It was about right before COVID. We were all getting into wood-fired pizza. They've gone mobile now, so you can get these things called unis or gaznis. I had purchased one I started using it. I love doing it, even though I can't eat that food anymore. So we just said, hey, let's do a pizza fundraiser for Guitars for Glory. And we'll get 6 of these wood-fired ovens. And even though none of us are pizza chefs, we'll just make 300 dough balls and see who comes and cook pizza for people. And I think we ended up with 350 people just show up. We had a band there, an artist named Zach Winters, who came and did some music. And I think we raised quite a bit of money. But I think a lot of the fundraising comes through churches that do campaigns or schools that do campaigns on our behalf without us having to use too much energy on our own time to put it together. Like there's a church in Illinois right now that's doing a 3-month campaign to raise funds for Guitars for Glory. It's one of their main fundraisers for the year.
Then we also have some monthly supporters too that graciously give to us once a month so that we can rent our space, but also continue to send instruments. Anything that comes in goes back out into the ministries.
I saw some of the videos of the faces of the people that received the guitars. It must be a blessing to you to see this and fulfilling to you for what you're doing.
We pack things, like Jeff said, in this little office space on Main Street. And every time we do it, it's like Christmas. Like we get to be a part of something that's so much bigger than the little space that we're in. And we pack these guitars and then we send them. We don't get to see the recipients most of the time. We've sent over 1,000 guitars and each one makes us excited. And I think that's so fun. After 11 years of doing this, it's still something that just the best. We're so excited every time we send one. And so we work with people that get to be the hands and feet of what we're doing and actually like hand deliver the guitar. I wish we get to see more of them because it's so fun.
So you have an interesting motto. How does that influence what you do?
You guys probably have experienced this in different facets of what you're involved in, but there's so many times where I think people are well-intentioned and like, hey, we've got a guitar that's in our basement. It's been collecting dust. Can we give it to you? And I think at first we just said, yeah, like every time. Absolutely. We have little to zero resources. We'll take whatever you have. But then we started realizing like, sometimes that's not necessarily giving a person your best, right? And so since we all play some form or another, we wanted to give something that we would be excited about playing ourselves. And even we do it here at my house. My wife and kids are somewhere in here, but there's times where we're getting rid of old clothes and we're like throwing stuff in bags that have holes in them and then dropping them off at the Salvation Army. It's like, well, why are we giving people that need the most, the least of what we have? And so that kind of carries over to the guitars. Like we want to give something that's going to last a long time, that's going to be enjoyable to play, that's going to fit the climate that it's in. I mean, there's a lot of even like rainforest jungle type areas that we send instruments to where humidity is a huge factor. So we'll work with a guitar company that builds guitars out of graphite as opposed to wood that can warp and absorb all the water and humidity, and just so that it lasts a long time. So yeah, that is a motto that we have. I think each year we get better at sticking to that.
So how do you get your instruments?
There are the personal donations where someone will say, I've got a guitar I want to donate. We'll just have them fill out a form. Like, what is it? How long have you had it? What condition is it in? Has it ever been kind of serviced before? I would say 1 out of every 10 that we give away is someone's personal instrument. I mean, there's been really cool stories of artists out there that have given us things that they've toured with and done really written beautiful songs on. And those are fun to give away, especially if the recipient knows who that artist is, to be able to receive that as a gift. The majority of the time we work with manufacturers in the States to buy things either at cost or to be donated completely to us. A big one that's been the oldest guitar manufacturer in the country is Martin Guitars, and they've been super kind and generous in getting behind what we do, giving what they can. If they're unable to give donations, they let us purchase things at like a dealer cost, even though we're not a dealer. And then even some of the biggest distributors like Guitar Center and Sweetwater Guitars, they know who we are, and occasionally we'll get a box that we didn't know was coming. There's 10 guitars in them. It's interesting to think about who we've worked with and the connections we've made on the guitar side of things, and how we really have never been able to not meet the needs of a request. I kind of think often about what we have. It always kind of feels like the loaves and the fishes story from the Bible, where it's like, things are just multiplying. Sometimes like, I don't even know where that came from, but it's exactly what that person asked for. And the timeliness of it is nothing short of, I would say, divine, which is really cool.
Yeah, we sometimes get applications in for specific instruments that we like don't necessarily have in our space. And then, so we start planning like, okay, we've got to purchase this instrument, figure it out online. And then the next day someone will like message our account and be like, hey, I've got this specific guitar that you were just looking for, or we'll ask the internet if anyone has one that they're not playing anymore, but we've always gotten exactly what we need. And yeah, half time it's just like people being generous.
Part of our ministry, we also had a guitar pedal company. It's where we would build guitar pedals. We've always wanted to be self-sustainable. We don't want to go to the same people every year saying, hey, can you donate? Can you support? Some of us on the team, we're in sales. We are so bad at asking for money because we just feel like, hey, if you like what we do, you'll support, right? So it's just more about sharing who we are. And then I think people catch the bug. We had the guitar pedals, and that was a really interesting way for us to connect with touring artists. So we had a bunch of people start buying them. One of the guys on our volunteer team was the builder of those, designer of those. He's based out of Saratoga area. His name's Joshua, and we love him dearly. But we ended up connecting with Winona Judd and her band. And Winona Judd's lead guitarist, his name's Charlie White. He lives in Arkansas and he's a luthier. He's worked on a number of my instruments. One of the kindest, sweetest men you'll ever meet. He's won the Arkansas like guitar player of the year 3-4 years in a row. He was coming through Rochester and he had been playing our guitars. I had some new ones for him. He's like, why don't you come out to Syracuse where they were playing and you can meet Winona and hang out with Cactus, who's her husband and drummer. I got there with one of our other board members and they were just the kindest, sweetest people. Sat with them on the tour bus for probably an hour and a half, just sharing about Guitars for Glory and what we do. They knew about the pedals, but didn't necessarily know fully about the not-for-profit, and became fast friends with Charlie and Cactus. And so with them, and they're like, why don't we hang out after? Like, we'll do our show and we'll call you back after the show. And I wasn't thinking that was actually going to happen. They're tired. And the last thing Winona wants to do is hang out with some random couple of guys.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
But the show ended and Cactus got up from his drum kit and just started like going like this. And there was 4,000 people at the show. It was in a casino theater. He's like looking, like pointing down and going like that. And I was like looking around, like he's not pointing at me, right? And finally like made eye contact and he points. So me and my buddy and two of our other friends went backstage, and Charlie and Cactus were there. And they said, hey, let's go up to the green room and we'll hang out with, at least they call her Y. So we'll hang out with Winona. And I was like, oh, okay. We don't want to impose. Like, you guys, this is a long show. It was an amazing show. It was my first time ever seeing her. We go up through the elevator. They open the door, and it's the only person in the room is Winona. And she's like, I remember this vividly, just standing at one of the tables that had the food and stuff at it. And she just like turns and whips around and just standing there. And if you're a big country music fan, I don't know, she's one of the originals, right? She just walks right up. She doesn't know me. We have not talked yet. And Cactus says, hey, this is my friend Jeff. And she just comes and gives me a big hug. And so we sat with her for probably 2 hours. And so we shared about what we do. Cactus and Charlie wanted to hear more as well. And right then, I mean, she did a little video for us and with us, just saying how much the ministry means to her. And we talked a lot about Johnny Cash and his prison ministry, and how that's something that is near and dear to her heart and she also wants to do. And we talked about just like, hey, how can we help you in that arena with prisoners that are maybe wanting to learn how to play guitar and learn how to use it to rebuild their lives, right? Since then, we've stayed in touch with mostly through Cactus, her husband, and Charlie, the guitarist. But anytime they come through, they're like, hey, we got tickets, come see us, come hang out. They've shared a lot about who we are and what we do. So that's an interesting one, and we just love them so much. Another one would be, his name's Josh Garrels. I think he's in Indiana. Pretty big in the independent Christian artist scene, where he's not necessarily doing a whole lot of worship music, but he's writing songs that are inspired by his faith. And his lead guitarist actually came to Spain with us to do some work. And we've known him a little bit. And there was one day he just sent a text message, and he's got at the time it was probably a $5,000 pedal board and some other stuff. You know, when you get a message through Instagram, you're not sure if it's a real account or not, but it was him. And he sent a message and said, hey, I want to give my pedal board to you guys. I had a dream last night that I was supposed to give it to you. And he's like, I'm going to be faithful with what that dream looked like. And it's like, give me your address and all this stuff, and I'm going to send it out. And so we were able to then take that very expensive pedal board. I used to play a lot of lead guitar. When it showed up, I was like, this is amazing. I want to keep it, you know, but we were able to then turn around and give that to a person who had needed exactly what that was. In the CCM or Christian music industry, there's been a lot of artists that have done one-time gifts or like shared about what we do on stage.
So do most of these recipients already have some knowledge of how to play?
Yeah, I think the majority of them, the person writing for the application will say like they've never formally played the guitar, but they have just music in their blood, so they can do it. Like they've seen them pick up other instruments, or even if it's like not a formal instrument, but still just has rhythm and can do it. But I think for the most part, it's people that are borrowing instruments from their church or their friends or something, or they're teaching people, but they don't have their own instrument. So we usually fill in that gap.
I was just wondering how you select who receives the instruments and how you get it to them for the group in need.
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, we get some of the craziest requests. We spend time probably once a month in our board meetings going through all of the applications and saying, okay, this seems legitimate. This seems legitimate. And, you know, you have to use your discernment. You don't want to enter into any application in a judgmental way. But we also know we're an organization that gives away free guitars. Like there's people that are wanting to take advantage of that. But we do ask for references when someone applies. And so we will call on references or email references. We do kind of dive a little bit into people's social media if we can find it. And someone requests a new guitar and we see that they already have 40 of them on their wall. Some of the people that we get requests from have been playing for, you know, maybe 30, 40 years and are battling addiction and sold their instruments because they needed to fill that addiction and have since gone through rehabilitation and are doing really well. And what they were used to playing on might have been like a $3,000 or $4,000 Gibson or Martin, and that's what they're used to touring with. And so to give them something that's, you know, a value of 300 seems a little off. So we do try to meet people where they are in their skill level and what they're used to. And sometimes we can't, and sometimes we're able to give Martin a call and say, this guy was a touring musician. He's just finished rehab and we want to get him something that he can rebuild his life with that matches what his ability level is. And so they'll work with us to get that instrument.
So how do you get those guitars to them?
If we're in the States, it's easy to ship. We just get an address. So sometimes it's straight to the recipient. Sometimes it's to a different person who's going to surprise the recipient with the guitar. That's what we encourage. We like that. Then if they're outside of the States, it can get kind of tricky for us to send through the mail. Some people will write from outside of the States, and we ask that they have a US contact that we can send to, and then that person can coordinate whether they're going there at some point. And yeah, typically a lot of the times it's like a church is going on a mission trip or something, and they'll take an instrument with them. That's a lot of the guitars that we've sent, where it's been like people going, they're like, we know of a person that has a need or that could really benefit from this guitar, we're going to take it with them. Or sometimes they'll go and say, we don't know of a person yet, but we're going to bring a guitar, and if we find someone that could really benefit from it, then we'll leave it with them.
Wow, that's really something.
So along with the need for instruments, do you and members of your team provide training resources to the recipients?
Some places, cities, countries don't have internet. So like providing a flash drive or something that can go with them. That's a work in progress, but we have traveled to different countries to help start music schools. Did a lot in Belize, 2 consecutive years where we worked with some of the local people there to basically do, I think it was like 7 or 8 days of guitar training. And even outside of the technical side of playing guitar, like working with churches and focusing on the heart and the art of picking up an instrument. So yeah, Belize was, I think, a very meaningful trip for us where we met some people that really needed, not us, but what the organization provides, life-saving type moments that we could share some stories about. And then we've each in our own separate, not necessarily full Guitars for Glory teams, traveled to Malawi or Uganda, or we spent 11 days in Spain helping start a music school there and doing some music work in the streets of Alicante, Spain. We all have full-time jobs outside of this and families and things that we need to tend to back in the States. But we've definitely had that privilege of going to places, working directly with people and making sure we're not just disrupting a community or people group thinking we're doing great things by leaving a guitar, like being really intentional about here's the tool, but here's how it's used. We never want to feel like there's, the book When Helping Hurt, which can be a thing. Like we think we're doing great stuff and really we're just maybe displacing a local guitar maker or something who's now not going to sell guitars because we've given 15 to people that would have been customers. We're very intentional about that. We do want to make sure people have the tools outside of just the physical guitar.
When we went to Belize the first year, we didn't really know what we were doing. We went to do like a worship camp. It was supposed to be musical training. So we had like different kinds of instruments, drums, guitars, vocals, all of that. So we went in, and then like the second day we realized that everybody in this camp already knows what they're doing. We're just going to keep going, I guess.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode, and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Have you heard? Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now there are more carriers and plans to choose from. If you're between 18 and 64 years old with a household income of $25,000 or less, this message is for you. Right now, the government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. Don't gamble your health. Call Health Care for All. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost healthcare coverage. See if you are one of them. Call now. Our agents are standing by to help you get the health insurance plan you and your family needs and deserves. If you're uninsured or struggling to afford your current health insurance, help is just a phone call away. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. To find a plan that's right for you, call 800-788-2406. That's 800-788-2406.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Auto Accident Help Desk.
Zuzu's Book Club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
It was less about like the training of the actual instrument and more, we just learned that we need to focus more on the people that we're actually playing with. One of our team members, she was with this kid and he was really quiet. She was with like a group, she was with the vocal group, and he was really quiet, just like reserved, not hanging out with anybody. And somehow she ended up having a one-on-one with him and they were talking, figuring it out. Turns out that he could sing and he could sing really well. And yeah, he just had this gift inside of him that he didn't even know about. She got that to come out of him. That was really special. What we ended up learning throughout the week was that he actually was super depressed, and that's why he was reserved and not hanging out with any of us. Then he learned that he has this gift that he can use his voice for something bigger. We went to Belize the next year to a different spot in Belize. It was about like an hour away. And we did this night of worship. We kind of know what we're doing at this point. The group from the first year came. They surprised us for our night of worship. They were going to lead a song. And that kid from the first year was the leader of their group. And he had been corralling his friends and they've been practicing for a year and really just encouraged their worship team back at home. And then like to see him lead was pretty much the best thing ever. It was so awesome, so special to get like a full circle a full year later, and we got to see what this instrument really did. It wasn't a guitar, it was just music really in general. But we left instruments with their church and they created like a worship team, or encouraged their worship team. So kind of like got them all together. They were all really burnt out when we first got there. So like encouraged all of them. They started a music school little program for people around. It was really special to see what does this actually do.
Have you been able to inspire the recipients to share their gift of music with their religious communities?
I think it's been the catalyst to a new life or new growth of these communities where worship is a big thing. I mean, I think there's one video we sent where a church in Tanzania is receiving an instrument for the first time. Literally, aside from some of their indigenous drums and things, rhythmic instruments that they've had, like they've always wanted stringed instruments. So when they receive this, you'll see it's very much a tribal community and they're just jumping out of their shoes when they're given this instrument. And I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, okay, this is like why we do this. Sometimes we're packing up boxes and Rochester's freezing cold, 11 at night, because it does make a difference. And I know hearing from that church a few years later, it went from 0 of them playing any guitar to about 10 of them being able to rotate through and play and lead songs on a Sunday morning. Yeah, there's probably hundreds of more stories like that I'm forgetting, but yeah, we just get reminders here and there of how it really did pick someone up when they were not feeling like they could get up on their own.
So how can others donate an instrument or make a monetary donation to support your efforts?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways, but there is online giving on our website. You can do like one-time donations or recurring giving. People send checks. I mean, there's days where I, get the mail here at my house. This is our main address, and there's checks from people we have no idea who they are. But yeah, online giving, people can start Facebook fundraiser campaigns. There's a lot of people that do, hey, it's my birthday and I would love for you to, instead of giving me something or whatever, I'm doing a fundraiser digitally for Guitars for Glory on my Facebook page. Those are really the best ways to give monetarily. And then the guitar side of things, if it's a manufacturer, we just say, hey, shoot us an email through our website and we'll coordinate things. Everything that's given to us is fully tax deductible. And if it's a person, just send an email through the website and tell us what you have and what you're looking to donate. And we will let you know if it's something that we can take. It can be kind of a pain. We'll even ship an empty box out to somebody who wants to put a guitar in it with the label to make it easy for them.
If anyone today wants to contact you for more information or actually apply to receive an instrument, how would they go about doing it?
Yes, if you go onto our website, there is a little tab at the top for the application. They can fill out an application, whether it's for themselves or on behalf of someone else. It's pretty straightforward. A couple questions asking the recipient is and why do they need an instrument. So we've heard some really great stories through that. So that's the best way. And then, yeah, you can always email us, reach out on Instagram, just Guitars for Glory.
So we really enjoyed talking to you about this wonderful cause that you are helping around the world. You're earning your wings, you know. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. What you're highlighting, it's very cool. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
A special thanks to today's guest, Alissa Catanzaro and Jeffrey Roeters. And thank you, Karolyn and Chris. You can find out more about Guitars for Glory at www.guitarsforglory.com. That's www.guitarsforglory.com, as well as at our website. Giving the gift of music is a precious gift indeed. I'm Seth Kennedy. This has been Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out zuzunetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to zuzunetwork.com/transcripts.
Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up.
Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joel.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.